Tammy Moxon lives in Townsville in far North Queensland, where she performs live regularly. She released the album Drive Me Sane in 2019 and has been steadily releasing singles leading up to her second album, Fighting Chance. And we're going to talk about that. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me again.
That's great to see you again. And I've had such a lovely time listening to this album, which I've been waiting for because I think the last time I interviewed you, you were talking about, I was thinking, when is this album coming? And it's finally here. The title song is about giving a relationship a fighting chance. But as a musical artist, giving that's, I think, a challenging time to be an artist. Have you ever felt like you've needed to give your music a fighting chance?
I did with this album. That's why it took so long for me to release it because I wanted to get enough financial backing behind it, and I was just coming off COVID, so I
Mhm.
was kind of trying to build that uh, build some it, there's some support behind it so I could give it a fighting chance. Um, yeah, so that was my way of doing that. But I am relieved that it's finally going to be released because it's been a long time coming, and I've been singing on these songs for a very, very long time, and it's been nearly 4 years. So I'm glad that it's finally coming to be, and people can hear it, and I can sing them live now.
Yeah. I suppose a consideration for artists these days is not releasing albums. It's just to continue to release singles. So why are you not attached to the album form? I was going to say that's not the right term, but why are you interested still in releasing albums?
I like the idea of albums. Like throughout my youth, I remember albums being helping me through a particular part of my life, and I like the idea, the concept of albums. I like that they're usually a diary from someone at some point in their life. Like "Drive Me Sane" was written at a dark time in my life. If you listen to the lyrics, it's full on. And this one's a more hopeful album, and I'm in a better space, a better headspace. And I like seeing that with artists, seeing them grow. Like if you just look at Taylor Swift, like um, she's always going through something, like something's conceptualizing that album, you know. And I love the idea of concepts. I love the idea of um, a packaged item, not just one thing, but just a package of it, you know, because you're not only showing the radio friendly songs that are upbeat and positive, you're also showing probably the more ballady songs that not many people would listen to, but they would if they're in a bad spot or if they're in a happy, loving spot, depending what the song is. I hope I'm making sense, but
You absolutely are.
okay, because yeah, I love that. And growing up, I was attached to a lot of different CDs for that, or albums, I should say, for that reason. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's how I do it. But I don't know. COVID's been a funny beast. It's definitely changed the industry, and I've noticed that. And I think this would probably be my last album.
Right.
I would, from now on, I'll probably be doing singles if I
Okay.
was to release more music, which hopefully will be the case.
Yes, I hope that's the case too. No, you mentioned albums that meant a lot to you while you were growing up as a younger artist. Can you remember what those albums were?
Yeah, I loved so anything Dixie Chicks I was following. So I loved all the Chicks, um, especially the Home album. Um, I loved Fly, and it wasn't just country music. It was also other albums. Like I remember being very attached to Avril Lavigne's first. Well, I don't know if it was her first album, but "Let Go." I loved, and I didn't realize. Understand now why I liked her so much is because she actually was from a country background.
Right.
So a lot of the songs that I really liked were actually they could be classed as country songs, like "Anything But Ordinary" is it has a very country beat, and yeah, I love that album. But the Dixie Chicks were probably the main ones that I'd play over and over and over again. And as I got older, Alison Krauss and Union Station, there was one album in particular, Live in Kentucky. That album just blew my mind, and I ended up changing my voice. Like I ended up learning how to build my falsetto because of her. Like I, I was always a hard hitting singer. I was very a Patty Loveless kind of singer when I was young. And it was her that made me kind of soften my voice a bit and learn how to break my voice. So,
Interesting.
um, and I fell in love with bluegrass because of her and Union Station. So those albums were probably the most important to
Yeah.
me.
So when you said about changing your voice, did you go to lessons for that, or you just were listening closely and able to make tweaks yourself?
No, well, Dad was my vocal coach. So I lived with my vocal coach when I was a kid. So, um, I was like, I want to be able to go from full voice to a high voice in a, pretty much in a note. And he taught me how to do that. It was just muscle memory, just practicing, 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 and eventually, I got there. And yeah, it's actually quite. It saved my voice in a lot of ways because when I'm singing live, when I'm singing those, unless I'm singing in front of a big group of people and they're giving me this energy, the adrenaline to actually sing in full voice, I will. Um, but usually when I'm singing, just at a low key kind of venue, I actually use that skill to be able to just save my voice.
Yeah.
Is I'm not I'm It sounds like I'm singing full voice, but I'm not. I'm actually singing
Oh.
falsetto. So it's good that I can well, it doesn't sound like I'm screaming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. That's so interesting. Just
Okay.
different singing technique. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can soften the blow, which is good.
yeah. Hmm. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. Now, said the album is called Fighting Chance, and as the song "Saved Me," which is on it, indicates you also gave yourself a fighting chance because there was a time when things were harder for you. And even though, as you said, this album is more upbeat than "Drive Me Sane," I suppose that's a remnant of that time.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty much paying homage to my ex-partner at the time. So I was in the relationship, but you can hear that we're on the brink of breaking up. If you listen to the lyrics, and it was pretty much saying thank you because I knew we were on the verge of breaking up, and it was me saying thank you. I do appreciate what you did because you pretty much got me out of a really a bad situation. I'm about to say another word. And yeah, so I, I did want to release that song because I felt like I needed to say that thank you, that I wasn't, unaware of how bad my situation was at the beginning of that relationship. And,
Hmm.
you don't want to finish relationships in a bad way. You want it to be amicable, you know what I mean? So, yeah, yeah, that's what that one was.
Well, especially because just because something ends doesn't mean it failed, and perhaps it served its purpose for both of you, and you move on.
Yeah. And it's also like, I've met Ben, and Ben's amazing. And I'm just, I'm grateful to um, be on this journey where I remember this guy, he was French. He used to live on campus in Byron Bay. And he said, every relationship or friendship or whatever is leading you into a direction. It's telling you a story. It's adding a different element to your story, and you just accept it and you go, yes, thank you for being part of my story, or you're part of their story. So it's a nice way of thinking about it because then you're not when you try when you're starting to get bitter about life, you start to factor those things in and go, well, what good things have they brought to my life, and try and focus on that.
Now, looking back at Drive Me Sane, what do you think you've learned about yourself as an artist since then?
um, I've I've learned that I deserve love. Um,
That's a big one.
yes. Um, I I've learnt to not sabotage relationships.
Mhm.
I have a habit of doing that, and I've learnt to back myself. Um, because if you kind of meet me, I'm very quiet character. Like I'm happy to talk. I'll talk and talk and talk, but um, yeah, I never really backed myself. I just kind of just kept singing and kept releasing music, but I just, yeah, I didn't really, I didn't really believe in myself, if that makes sense. Whereas now I'm like, I've been doing this for 10 years now, you know, you need to start believing that, you know, I hope I don't sound like what's the word? Like I'm up myself or something. I just want to, you know what I mean? Like you
I
just want.
do, yeah. And you're allowed, Tammy, you're allowed to be up yourself because you've made great albums. But I think the self doubt part of it, that's inherent in being an artist in a lot of ways, and it's an eternal practice to keep getting past it when you know that you have the work that belongs in the world, and maybe that's part of how you get past it. Is thinking, well, I could just keep this work to myself, but I do think it belongs out there, and in order to do that, I'm going to believe that I'm the one to deliver it.
Yeah, it's a bit of imposter syndrome as well. Like you just feel like, this is not worth being put out. I don't want, I don't want people um, to hear things that are very personal as well. Like these are very
Mhm.
personal songs. Like
Yeah.
you're mentioning Hope, that's a very personal song. Like that's just me trying to give myself the courage to keep going in this industry. It's yeah, they're very personal songs. So you're like, oh, do I really want to, let the world hear this? But at the same time, it's very cathartic because a lot of people respond and say, oh, I was feeling this song, or I was low and I listened to this one, um, or when I'm singing it, it's just like, oh, okay, I got that off my chest. Okay. It's a big relief when you're able to sing these songs because it's just like, okay, I've just had my therapy. I've just sang it out. I'm good.
Your vocal on Hope is quite heartbreaking. I mean, you can hear the idea of hope in it, but there's just this quality to it as you sing it that's really affecting, and it doesn't get less affecting the more times it's listened to, I don't think. So I'm wondering when you're in the studio with a song like that, whether you have to put yourself in the mind frame you were in when you wrote it, or whether it's connecting to like an aspect of yourself or a character almost.
Um, sorry, what was the question? Sorry, I got.
When you're recording Hope, if you because the vocal is so affecting, like I'm just wondering how you get that energy to it or get that sound to it.
Well, you've got the headphones on, so you kind of enclosed, like you can kind of hear yourself think almost, and then the music starts, and um, I was definitely feeling the song. That song is genuine. What you're
Mm,
hearing is genuine because I've been in this industry. Like the first album I brought out was in 2016,
mhm.
and I've been doing this for a while, and it was kind of like it was a song of why do I keep putting myself through this? You know what I mean? Like because the industry is it's wonderful and it's also heartbreaking and it's bittersweet. And I'm like, why do I put myself through this? And it's like, but I just keep wanting. I just have the hunger to just keep going. So it's pretty much a self exploration song of why do I keep doing this to myself? And it's a bit of an explanation as to why I do it because I love it. Like I love to sing, and COVID definitely taught me that. I did other jobs during COVID because I couldn't sing and I needed an income, and I realized I don't want to stop singing. So that's why I do it because I don't want to stop.
And nor should you. Now the oldest song on the album would have to be "What Am I to Do," which you wrote on a Casio keyboard when you were 18. Why haven't you recorded it before?
um, I actually just forgot about it, to be
Oh,
honest. It was in a notebook that I found because I knew I had to fill up the album, and I was like, oh, I need ideas. So I went through this notebook because I have notebooks of songs from back then, and I found "What Am I to Do," and I was, oh, I remember writing that. That was like the first breakup song. That was a genuine breakup song I wrote after my first ever breakup, and the lyrics were pretty raw, like they were pretty juvenile actually. And I was like, oh, I can't record that. Can't record that. um, So I had to rewrite it to be a bit more general, a bit more relatable. And yeah, what am I to do came out of it, and I'm so glad Shane kind of made it like a 50s doo wop kind of number. That was pretty cool. I like that. So that was all him, the doo wop bit, but
Yeah.
like the what am I like that, cool response thing. But yeah, I'm glad I recorded that because I forgot all about it, and I was like, oh, that's a bit fancy with my chord progressions. I was getting a bit creative there at 18 or however old I was.
Now, the Shane you mentioned is Shane Nicholson, who was the producer of the album. What did he bring out in you as an artist?
He's he's very generous. He's in that he understands where you're coming from. So he kind of lets you be the driver of the creative part. He doesn't really force you to be anything else, and that's what I like about him is he's kind of in this he's on the same wavelength.
Mhm.
And even if he wants to add something to it, it it adds to the song. It's not changing the song. Does that make sense? He's very good at letting you be the driver of the album in a way. Like he's producing it, but
Mhm.
um, he has your idea in mind, and it's I really enjoy watching him work because he's extremely creative. He's it's not just about bass drums, a little bit of banjo, lead guitar, acoustic, and some embellishments. Like he's using weird and wonderful instruments that you would never think of, and just using like a ding of it in like every 2 bars or something. Like he is so creative and so particular with these songs. It's just like wow, where how does your mind work like that? Because you're just thinking, no, bread and butter, just you know put all the instruments together. But he's thinking, you know, like sporadically, where are these instruments going to fit?
Yeah.
It's very cool. I think I've said this before, but yeah, it's very cool watching him work because I enjoy the production process. Like, if I could produce, I would. I definitely would. Like, I did it at SAE, and I just appreciate that someone is so talented to actually even play these instruments as well.
Yeah.
Like he's playing most of these instruments. I think the only instruments he doesn't play is the piano and the drums and uh, the fiddle.
Right.
He plays everything else. So he's incredible.
He's almost literally a one-man band.
Yes,
Yeah.
he just put drums on his. No, he didn't play drums, but you know what I mean. Oh, he did play a lot of percussive stuff though.
There you go. And he's a one-man band who is in New South Wales, and you are in far North Queensland, as previously mentioned. So logistically, did you just go down there the once because it is quite a trip to get down there, or did you have to go back and forth?
And one 3 days. It was all recorded in 3 days.
That's fantastic.
Uh,
So did, did you arrive with the songs settled on, or yeah, like had the two of you actually decided beforehand what you're going to record?
So I think I remember sending him the songs around the time of it would have been September 2020, and I think I recorded the songs in April 2022. So this has been a while ago. This has been a long time coming, but yeah, it was in between weekends. So I had usually I'm free through the week.
Hmm.
So when you include travel and everything, I kind of got to be back. Like I've only really got 4 days. So we pretty much did the recordings in 3 days, and then you've got the days of travel, like half days of travel. So um, yeah, it was a practical thing. Some of the I'll be honest, some of the some of the songs I wish I had recorded better, but I knew I was kind of I had it, there was a time thing on that. So um, but the good thing about Shane is, even though he's in the same room, like everything's recorded in the same room, and he's in the same room, he you don't realize he's there, and you can kind of go into your own space, and without any inhibitions, and you just you can kind of just bury yourself into the emotion of the song. So that's good. He's really easy to work with. I really recommend if anyone wants to work with him. He's really easy to work with.
When you said there was some you wish maybe you'd recorded a bit better, of course, that's the eternal conundrum of being an artist. But also what the punters don't know you were thinking of doing, they're not going to miss that you didn't do. So I think it
I
sounds
won't say where. There's particular lines like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Just smile away.
but I guess only you know, right?
I hope so. I hope it's yeah. But yeah,
Um, and,
perfectionist, I get a bit weird.
um, your father, I was reading your father worked on at least two of these songs with you, Sapphire Heart and Barfly Blues. Have you written much with him before?
Yes, I have. Trying to think. Wangler Ain't Wangler from the previous album. Yeah, I just got my Wangler Ain't Wangler. He did in the first album on Full in Time. He wrote, initially co-wrote Full in Time, the title
Mm.
track, and there were some other songs that I just can't think because I don't have it with me. But he
And I'm
was
putting you on the spot.
especially especially in the beginning. He was definitely very prevalent in my songwriting because I was living with him.
Mhm.
Whereas now it's a bit different because I can't just go into the next room and be like, what do you think of this? You know what I mean? Like he was always my sounding board when it came to, seeing if it was worth playing in public, you know what I mean? And Dad's pretty good. He's pretty honest about a lot of things. Sometimes he's too honest, but but he's a very good songwriter. He's an incredible lyricist, and he's also got a co-write on "Saved Me." He wrote the one line, the best line in "Saved Me," which is "Your warmth was a welcomed introduction." That was his line, and you can tell because his writing is a bit more polished than what mine is. But yeah, he's incredible songwriter, he's incredible singer, and it's always nice to be able to write songs with him. And Sapphire Heart, I usually put songs to him that I'm having trouble writing on my own. If I'm stuck, I'm like, okay, I need an extra person. So
Mhm.
he's my first go to when I need a co-writer, and I think he's quite happy to do that. He likes to be creative.
Well, you said he's an incredible singer, and of course, he was your vocal coach, and he co-wrote Barfly Blues, but it is not him singing on it; it's Bill Chambers. So why isn't your dad on it?
Oh, well, we co-wrote it with Bill as well. So
Mm.
there's the three of us on there. But Bill and I always intended to do a duet together. That was always on the cards. We just weren't sure what. But yeah, during COVID, I because Dad was very into the song as well because we were talking about songs on the way home from Tamworth one year because I would have played on Bill's show at some point, and we were like, what ideas can we put to Bill about for a duet? And we were like Barfly Blues, and we were just playing with it like the lyrics in the car and the melody, and so he was just a natural co-writer of the song. But Dad and I did do a duet on the first album, which was Just a Thought Away. Um, and so there is record of me singing with him. But it's on the Full in Time album. That was the song Dad wrote for me when I was 10, I think, because I was a comp kid, and I used to get docked. My marks used to get docked because I used to sing adult songs like "Blame It on Your Heart" and
What you got docked in marks because you were.
because I sang songs that were too adult, and so he wrote a song which was really sweet about a father talking to his daughter and saying, "I wish you well in life, and just remember, I'm just a thought away." So it's a really sweet song. But yeah, I used to sing songs like "Blame It on Your Heart," like the lyrics is "Blame it on your lying, cheating, cold, dead, beaten, two-time and double deal in the street and love and heart." Like it's pretty full on. I'm like, "Ugh," I'm just like pointing at the audience, and I'm getting real into it. Um, so yeah, I probably intimidate a lot of judges with that with my 10-year-old self.
But were there any guidelines as to which songs you were meant to have been singing, or did they
I
just dock
just
you for that?
like I loved Grandpa when I actually heard the recording, but like songs like Grandpa and the child friendly songs that aren't about you know, being in a, I think at the time they're a bit different now. It's a bit more loose about things now, but back
Uh,
then it was like, you know, kids shouldn't be singing about love. That's we don't talk about that sort of.
But what if the kid just enjoyed the melody and wanted to sing it, which is probably what
Well,
happened.
that was my argument too. I enjoyed seeing it because I liked being dramatic on that stage and just pointing to somebody in that audience who did me wrong. And like it was just a stranger. They did nothing, but I just enjoyed like I loved it. I love being dramatic on that stage. It was a lot of fun. I've got actually footage of that somewhere. One day I'll post it. I think a lot of people will get a lot of joy out of that because
At what age did you stop doing comps?
uh, yeah, 11.
Mhm.
I did do Roads to Tamworth when I was 17. Um, I won the heat up here in Townsville and went down and did the final, and then I didn't sing for until I didn't sing until 23, and then that's when I went into the Charters Towers Country Music Festival, and that's how this part of my life started. So I was a kindy teacher, so um, I was also studying, so it was really hard. I was, you know, the teaching side is hard enough as it is, but when you're also studying, you got no you got no free time, and I was like, I need an interim job to get me through until I figure out what I really want to do. And
Mhm.
so I decided to enter into this competition when I was 23, and I ended up doing okay. I won it, and that was pretty much okay. I can go out and try and get gigs because
Right.
I didn't know if I didn't know if I had the voice. You know what I mean? Like when you're singing in your room, it's a bit different to singing live. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's a different beast. You've got to kind of settle your nerves, and you've got to be able to sing in tune. And every now and then, the nervous beast comes out. But it was good to see that. Okay, I can calm myself on this.
Mhm.
I can channel it somewhere else and channel it into my breathing, I guess. And and so I was like, cool, I'm going to send out these flyers and try and do this until I figure out what I'm going to do next. And I've been able to do it um, reasonably full time. COVID was a bit different, but reasonably full time for nearly 10 years now. I'm
Which
giving
is
it.
extraordinary, 'cause and as you mentioned, you had to go and see Shane in that short time frame because you had to be back to play gigs because you do play a lot around Townsville. So clearly Townsville has a thriving live music scene.
Oh yeah, there's so many pubs here, and I, I do have a reason for it, but I'm probably not best saying it. But there's a lot of pubs in Townsville, and it's a very live music friendly place. It's a very country friendly place as well. Especially in the last 7 years, I've noticed people are getting more into country. Whereas back in my day, like when I say my day, when I was a kid, um, you know, country wasn't cool. It
Mhm.
wasn't cool at all. So it's nice to see that change. Uh, and live music is a thing now because for a long time DJing was the thing. You know, live music
Yeah.
was out and DJing was in.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think when we were able to do like a one man band thing, like when I got my stomp and just started playing my own percussive doof doof underneath the guitar and my vocals, it kind of um, helps me get more work and to replace that need for that DJ doof doof. Do you know what I mean? Like it was. I think a lot of musicians ended up doing that because yeah, it's there's nothing like I find live music is more um, interactive. It's more, um, you know, it's probably me trying to make sure I'm in business, me saying this, but I find it's more personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and you can change the song. I guess you can as a DJ too, but you know, you can make the song go longer, you can make it go shorter, you can change the words, you can change the chords, you can mash it up, like you can do whatever you want. I guess a DJ can do that too, but you know,
Well, except, when there's a live performer, not a DJ, there's that connection between you and the audience. And that I actually think works for humans on a primal level. We need that sense of connection when it comes to storytelling, whether that's delivered as a song or some other means.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad that Townsville has been so um, has been so accepting of live musicians because yeah, there's plenty of work here and they pay well compared to other places. They pay pretty well. So yeah, I'm quite happy doing this until my voice gives out.
Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon, and that it also means that people can see you in Townsville and no doubt some other places because I think you've got a few festivals coming up, playing songs from Fighting Chance, which is the new album. And I'm going to leave it there. But Tammy Moxon, always lovely to speak to you, and this is such a great album. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.